German chocolate forgiveness. I want to tell you about a forgiveness moment I had. I was at the grocery store one day. I got into the line and the cashier was a black woman I had never seen before. I didn't know her name then, and I don't know it now. But what I remember clearly is projecting onto her. I remember telling myself how rude I thought she was because she didn't speak to me during the whole transaction. And when I left the store, I carried that thought with me. I left thinking, angry black woman, she didn't speak to me, how rude. But here's the thing, she had said nothing at all. The entire story was mine. It was my projection. It was my grievance. It was my lens of separation. She was just standing there doing her job, and I supplied the meaning. That's what the Course means when it says, I have given everything I see all the meaning it has for me. Several weeks later, I came back to the same grocery store. This time she was working the express line, 15 items or less. I had maybe 10 or 12. I didn't realize it was her until I was already in line. And for a second I thought about backing out. But then I remembered, I had the ability to choose again. I had the ability to see differently. So I made a decision. When I got to the register, I spoke first. I said, "Hello." She looked up and said, "Hi." And then something beautiful happened. She noticed one of my items. It was a container of Tillamook German chocolate cake ice cream. And she smiled and said, German chocolate cake ice cream. I said, "Yeah, how about that?" She said, "That's my favorite kind of cake." I said, "Really? Mine too." And that was the truth. It really is my favorite cake. German chocolate cake. Rich, sweet, layered. The kind of dessert you savor. She said, "I've heard Tillamook makes good ice cream." I said, "Yes, it's a really good brand." And just like that, the wall of silence was gone. The projection disappeared. And in its place was joy. In its place was connection. In its place was a moment of shared sweetness, born out of nothing more than German chocolate cake ice cream. When the transaction was done, she said, "Have a blessed day." And before I could even leave, I heard another customer greet her warmly. I heard someone say, "Hey, how you doing? Nice to see you again." And that's when the miracle hit me. It was never her. It was always me. I was the culprit. I was the devil in that first story. I was the one who had projected my grievances onto her silence. But this time, I chose differently. This time, I let the present moment be new. And because I did, the outcome was totally different. She wasn't an angry black woman. She was a sister in joy. She was a human being with a favorite cake, a favorite ice cream, and a kind blessing to share. Somebody else clearly loved her too, because when she lit up for them, it was obvious that my old story had been a lie. What forgiveness really is. Now let's go deeper. What happened at that checkout wasn't small talk about dessert. It was a demonstration of what forgiveness looks like in practice. Forgiveness isn't about saying, "Okay, she was mean, but I'll let it slide." That's not forgiveness, that's still judgment. True forgiveness is realizing she was never the problem at all. Forgiveness is withdrawing the meaning I gave and letting the moment stand as it is. Forgiveness is recognizing that the hurt wasn't in her actions, it was in my mind's interpretation. The Course says forgiveness recognizes that what I thought my brother did to me has not occurred. And that's exactly what this was. She had never hurt me. She had never wronged me. She had simply been neutral. It was my mind that filled the silence with grievance. And it was my mind that could empty it out again. That's the power of forgiveness. It's not something rare. It's not something lofty. It's available all the time. It's available in every grocery store, every checkout line, every relationship, every silence, every glance. Forgiveness moments are everywhere, but they only open up when the mind is willing to see through the eyes of love. The Holy Spirit doesn't need grand settings to work. He only needs willingness. The props are irrelevant. It could be a courtroom. It could be a prison. It could be a family dinner. Or it could be a pint of German chocolate cake ice cream. It's all the same lesson. The form doesn't matter. The content is always forgiveness. And the content is always love. The takeaway. That day in the express lane, I didn't just buy ice cream. I tasted forgiveness. I tasted the sweetness of a mind that chose again. The real dessert wasn't in the freezer section. The real dessert was the joy of seeing that I had never been harmed and that love was present all along. That's what forgiveness is. It's the recognition that only the mind makes the story and only the mind can let it go. And when it does, every moment can be German chocolate cake. Every moment can be sweet. Every moment can be blessed. Picture, if you will, a grocery store express lane. 15 items or less, but on this day, one item carried the weight of eternity. A carton of German chocolate cake ice cream, melting not in the freezer, but in the mind that had chosen to see again. The first time, silence was mistaken for insult. A woman was cast in a role she never auditioned for, and judgment turned neutrality into grievance. But the second time, the curtain was pulled back. A hello opened the door. Ice cream became communion, and blessing replaced blame. What changed? Not the woman, not the line, not the cake. What changed was the sight of the one who looked. This is the lesson written in every checkout line, every handshake, every silence that waits to be filled. That forgiveness is not pardon for a crime that never occurred. It is the recognition that the crime was only imagined and that love has always been standing at the register, waiting to be noticed. File this one under aisle 7, frozen foods, and the eternal truth that every moment is an express lane to heaven, if you choose to see it.